Yeah, it's perfect.
Okay, sounds great. Okay. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Actually, I've never done any webinar or any presentation in this evening, so I'm kind of feeling fresh and new here. But thank you very much for joining this webinar. And first of all, I think I would like to say Organic Alberta for thank you very much for giving us these opportunities to speak about this topic, my studies, tonight. And thank you very much to all people joining tonight. Uh, in this webinar, I'm presenting with two talented graduate students, Alicia and Josie. And Alicia is a MSc student and currently in the process of converting to PhD program. Can I say that? And she has been working on this project, especially soil carbon and greenhouse gas emission data from the field since the beginning of this study under the supervision of Guillermo Hernandez Ramirez at the University of Alberta. And Josie is also his MSc student who graduated last year, and she published very interesting meta-analysis about soil carbon sequestration under organic uh, condition. And she's going to talk about that. And at the last but least, my name is Hiroshi Kubota. And I'm a research scientist at the Agriculture Agri-Food Canada in Lacombe. And my background is organic agriculture, organic agronomy. And I am from University of Alberta and supervised by Dr. Dean Spanner. Some of you or you may know him. He retired, but he used to be an organic wheat breeder, and he has lots of presentation and a lot of good research regarding organic uh, studies. And this is a table of content today. And basically, main purpose of this webinar is to provide fundamental information of soil carbon in organic crop production. And since the project is ongoing and we are processing second year field data, I'm not going to present any of the result yet because we are still waiting second year of data. And so basically, I'm going to talk about basic uh, information regarding organic science cluster, which Desli already covered. So I'll skip a couple of slides and just avoid overlapping and talking about my project. And next, Alessia, she will talk about soil carbon, including the topic of carbon storage and carbon cycle and its importance. Then Joshi will talk about the finding in the meta-analysis. And I have just 10 minutes, so I have to be like really quick. Um, uh, Whenever I do
Bye,
a
Georgia.
presentation,
Have fun.
uh, I would like to acknowledge first it because I tend to forget, and if time is running out, I miss the acknowledgement. So this research is supported by Sustainable Agri-Science Program and under the AFC's SCAP and other. This is a research-driven agriculture, result-driven agricultural research that is non-profit funding organization as a part of Organic Science Cluster, and also Organic Federation of Canada and the Organic Alberta Center, Organic Agriculture Center of Canada. They are organizing this funding. And also like the picture you are seeing, they are the technical staff and the summer student. Without them, we cannot we cannot do any research activities. So I would like to acknowledge all of the funders for this project as well as the technical staff support. And I won't mention about this slide. This is basically under the Organic Science Clusters project. And as Desiree said, Organic Science Cluster started 2009, and now it's a fourth Organic Science Cluster cycle. And each science cluster uh, goes 5 years cycle. So this is the fourth cycle, and this QR code take you to the website that you see from the Daisy's presentation, and there is a ton of information about what the organic science cluster and what the project and what the outcome from the previous organic science cluster. And there is a lots of good information. So you like to visit this website. And I think I should skip this. Oh, this slide as well. But basically, this is the Organic Science Cluster Force, and this runs from 2023 to 2028. And there are three projects in the three Prairie province relevant to field crop production. And one led Dr. Martinez, who is a very well-known organic agriculture researchers. And another one is Dr. Joan Tyson Martins and Henry Wilson. They are also running one studies, and I am another one. So basically, this is my research project title: Impact of Reduced Tillage and Crop Livestock Systems on Greenhouse Gas Emission and Carbon Sequestration. And so basically, we are looking at the impact of reduced tillage and crop livestock systems on greenhouse gas emission and carbon sequestration. And organic agriculture is considered to be a sustainable way of crop production. Yet, there is a potential for further improvement of its sustainability. And then I question myself where the organic farming practice can improve its environmental and economic sustainability. And I have 2 points that came into mind through the literature review and talking to organic farmers. One could be reducing greenhouse gas emission, and the other is improving soil carbon sequestration. So what you see in this slide, it's really messy and busy, but basically this is one way of visualizing what the research article and website article talking about agriculture and the organic agriculture, and the distance between each bubbles it's related, and also the thickness of line connected to each bubbles also related each other. And this visualization is not based on the like pure science evidence. Just we put all of the articles and the literature into the system and came up with this visualization. But still, you can see that organic farming and greenhouse gas emission, carbon sequestration connect each other. And as you see, agriculture itself is really complicated, and it's hard to address single issues through silver bullet method. But anyway, my point is I would like to see how we can reduce greenhouse gas emission and carbon sequestration through the organic farming systems. That's the objective of my study. And so this is one of the reasons, scientific reasons, that on the left figure, you see a comparison of uh, carbon dioxide equivalent between conventional and organic practices. So basically, the green one is organic and the uncolored one is conventional practices. And so carbon dioxide equivalent is a kind of standardized unit used to express the impact of different greenhouse gas emission amount in terms of amount of carbon dioxide. So greenhouse gas are not only carbon dioxide, they are methane, which is about 25 times worse than a carbon dioxide, and nitrous oxide more than 200 times impactful than the carbon dioxide to greenhouse global warming. But to basically make it simple, everything nitrous oxide and methane calculated and converted to the carbon dioxide. And those methanes and the now nitrous oxide are and basically this bar taller, the impact is huge. And as you see, overall organic system are better and lower carbon dioxide equivalent. But carbon dioxide emission from field, which is the light gray section, it says emission. Almost the same as conventional counterpart. And this carbon dioxide comes from synthetic chemicals in conventional practices, and the tillage practices or manure from the organics are the source from the organic side. And as organic practice tend to have more tillage because of the weed management and manure incorporation and other reasons. Um, and it is hard to have a no-till organic uh, crop production. And this could be the area to improve. And in fact, the table on the right hand shows the significant decrease of carbon dioxide equivalent as tillage intensity reduced. So on the right side, as you see and goes down, which is a conventional tillage to zero tillage, the carbon carbon emission, which is the lowercase emission, is from 6.11 to 2.55 in Canada. And this is not the organic field study, but obviously the tillage has a effect on the carbon greenhouse gas emission. And then why carbon sequestration contribute to environment and economic sustainability. This is the whole point of today's presentation, and this part will be covered by Alessio and Josie, and I won't talk. And basically, we want cover economic sustainability this time, but quite simply, sustainable and stable crop production directly connect to economic stability and sustainability. So, yes, you know it. And with that, my project is looking at three cropping systems, conventional organic tillage system and reduced tillage system and integrated crop livestock systems, with the overall goal to assess greenhouse gas emission reduction and improved carbon sequestration potential. Really, uh, yeah, relevant to normal tillage system during the organic transition period. So these four points are the like kind of specific objective of this study, and identify better cropping system for reducing greenhouse gas emission and estimate and compare to the effect of three cropping system on carbon sequestration, which is today's topic, and determine the effect of livestock integration on nitrogen cycling, and evaluate the whole farm economic outcome, which is the most which is important aspect to look at. And so, what kind of agronomic practices we are testing to improve the soil carbon in this project? Actually, I just put it like a lot of pictures, photos, and these are the kind of idea I gathered and we incorporated into this project. And I want to talk in each photos and the information behind, but I won't talk it because it's time limited. So basically, here is a kind of justification of practices. This is very busy figure, and you don't need to look at it. But talking about the essence, reduced tillage, increased carbon sequestration, and the inclusion of perennial crops or cover crop, increased carbon sequestration. And all these factors are included in these systems. And these are the system we are testing. And conventional tillage system, I communicate with the organic producers around this area and kind of came up with a kind of standard I call conventional tillage system. And reduced tillage system. Basically, we have reduced tillage at maximum 2 tillage pass per season. And also I included cover crops, which also reduce the tillage. And the third one is the integrated crop livestock system, which is kind of unique in terms of the study because logistics, including livestock into the crop plant, is really hard. And as far as I know, Dr. Martinez at U of M, they did this kind of study with goat, and at the University of Saskatchewan, they are ongoing study for grazing as well. But this is kind of the unique study. And so as I said, I'm not presenting any data from this study, but these are the kind of the picture that you see from each systems on the left side. This is a system one, green manure before and after plow down. And system two, you see red clover. This is underseeded red clover into oat. And the below picture is the second year. So basically they regrowth. And right picture is a system three before and after grazing. So two cows are introduced into the research plot and they grazed within that day and they left. So basically that is what we are doing. And it is not like exactly same as the real like a grazing, but this is what we can do as a research. And as I said, these are the data coming from the second year, and I'm still processing to come up and see what the trend and what kind of interesting things happening. So I'm not going to talk about the the actual data this time, but I'm planning to talk about this at the Organic Alberta conference. And and this is the QR code for Organic Alberta conference website. So if you didn't register yet, please go and to register to hear about some of the interesting results came out from this study. And this is end of my end of my presentation. And I'm sorry, I think I went over. Sorry. If you have any question, I can answer, but I used more than 20 minutes or so. So if you don't have any question or you have a question, you can answer at the end of the entire presentation. And here is my email address. You can just email to me anytime. But if you don't see any question,
I have a quick question, Hiroshi.
okay.
It'll probably take you a moment to answer. So you've got one of your treatments that's a maximum of 2 tillage passes per season. How are you
Yes.
finding the weed pressure, just, as a anecdotal visual? How's the weed pressure in that reduced tillage?
Well, basically, this is second year, and third, I didn't analyze with data from this year, but I did it from last year, and I see that there aren't. I didn't see much difference. Yeah, I didn't see significant difference between the conventional and the reduced tillage from year one data. And I'm really looking forward to see the second year data. Because like this is just a visual observation from like basically it depending on the crop types. Because I have 4 crops in a sequence, and depending on the crop types, I see some differences like visually, but I don't have number yet. So. And also, like this is a transitional study from conventional to organic field. And 2 years before this study, we had canola in that field. And the first year, volunteer canola just took over, and it was really hard to manage it. So we did more than 3 times for tillage to manage, and I have a note so I can yeah justify it. But yes, yeah, there is always learning, and yeah, I can share that story as well at the conference. Um, I I
Yeah,
think we should.
yeah, I think thank you very much for that, Hiroshi. We look forward to seeing all your research results in coming years here. We'll have to get you out to talk every year and see what.
I'm happy to join every year.
Yeah, thank you. Um, and then Alessia, if you want to start up your presentation next.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Tracy, and thank you, Hiroshi, for introducing our project. Um, I feel pretty fortunate to be on the project. It's really cool and novel. So, and thank you to Organic Alberta for having me here with you guys today. And I hope you can see my screen okay, if it looks good. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Hiroshi. So yeah, my name's Alessia and I'm a master's student on the project that Hiroshi just introduced. And I created this presentation about carbon in soil, but I wasn't so sure that what everybody knew about carbon or soil in general. So in the chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, just have you guys ever heard about carbon or how carbon works in soil? Have you ever listened to a webinar or gone to a conference where you knew a little bit about carbon? Okay. Well, I guess you're gonna learn a lot today about carbon, or you guys are quiet and that's fine too. Um, so carbon storage in soil mostly has to do with soil organic matter. It's the largest pool of soil or pool of carbon in soil. So carbon is also present in rocks and minerals, but plants can't access that carbon. So generally we think of carbon as being soil organic matter. And I found this definition and I really liked it. It says accumulated decaying debris of biota living on or in the soil, um, which is pretty all-encompassing for what soil organic matter is. And usually we think of it as root exudates, soil microbes, and plant material. And root exudates are just the chemical compounds that roots emit from themselves into the soil as they're growing and interacting with the soil. And soil microbes and plant material, I'm sure, is pretty self-explanatory. And we think of soil organic matter as having three fractions. So living organisms, the earthworms and microbes and little guys that are living in the soil. Active soil organic matter, which is stubble or green manure that you're incorporating, that it gets used right away by microbes. And then stable soil organic matter, which looks like this and smells so good. That's what's holding up the carbon reserve in the soil. And when I'm talking about carbon storage, I'm not talking about carbon sequestration. So that's a big buzzword that I'm sure you guys have heard a lot. Um, Carbon storage more has to do with the trends and the use of carbon throughout time, and not so much with just grabbing CO2 from the atmosphere, which is what carbon sequestration is. Oh, sorry, I'm just checking the chat. Hiroshi, that's good that you know something about carbon. Um, so you guys might have seen this diagram maybe in school a long, long time ago for some of you maybe. But this is the carbon cycle. And at the center of this cycle is soil organic matter and carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide gets inputted into the soil through photosynthesis, which is what plants do. I'm sure we know this. And as they decay, or as the roots get left, or as plant material is incorporated into the soil, soil organic matter forms over time. And then microbes in the soil really love soil organic matter to produce energy. And as part of their process of making energy, they emit carbon dioxide, which is also called soil respiration. So soil is alive, it's living, it's breathing carbon dioxide, unfortunately, which is not what we like to hear. Because usually when we think carbon dioxide, we think of that scary little factory in the back of this picture that's emitting a bunch of carbon dioxide into our air. And so the point of this wasn't to say that you should all idle your pickup trucks and your cars the next time that you go to Walmart and you're going to say, oh yeah, I'm putting a bunch of carbon and soil organic matter into my soil because I'm putting CO2 into the air. It doesn't quite work like that. But in essence, it does because that's how plants get carbon dioxide. And so this is just a note about how the carbon cycle works. I kind of explained it, but microbes use carbon as part of their energy source. And when they do that, they emit carbon dioxide. And that's essentially what drives the carbon cycle. So we all think of a healthy soil as having lots of soil microbes, and we love that they're there and we're so happy, but they're also the ones that are emitting carbon dioxide. So it's a bit of a catch-22, but if we look at it more of a carbon storage point of view as more than a carbon sequestration point of view, it's very beneficial. And so this graphic is just showing that as temperatures rise, there's a stronger carbon dioxide and methane emission from soil because yeah, that's what they're doing to drive energy. And so I'm going to show you something else later on, a little bit of suspense for you. But photosynthesis and respiration are always in tandem with each other throughout the growing season. So at the start of the growing season, there's lots of photosynthesis happening. Plants are growing, they're putting up shoots, and that's going to outweigh respiration. So carbon dioxide into the atmosphere is going to be a lot less than what's being captured by plants because photosynthesis is happening. So that center panel is what's happening. And then as the growing season kind of heads off, you're getting into June and July, photosynthesis is dropping down, but respiration is still happening. So you might have a net zero effect of the amount that you're capturing and emitting. And then in the fall season, when you harvest, photosynthesis has completely stopped, the plants are gone, but respiration is still happening in the soil. So that can look like a lot of things, but something really interesting is at the Mauna Loa Observatory in Hawaii. This is one of their graphs of carbon dioxide since 1960s, which is the longest database we have of carbon dioxide emissions in the world. And we see the general increasing trend, and that's good. We know that that's happening because of increased emissions. But if we zoom in, we can see that there's actually fluctuations throughout the growing season of carbon dioxide. So there's this net increase of CO2, which we expect, but as during the growing season, temperatures rise, moisture is increasing, photosynthesis is happening, we see a decrease in carbon dioxide at this observatory, which is located in a forest in Hawaii. And then into the later parts of the season, we see a decrease in carbon dioxide because of that decreased activity in the cooler months. So that's how carbon works in tandem with the atmosphere and the soil. So carbon storage potential is the maximum gain of soil organic carbon stock that can happen under a given climate and a given timeline. So there's lots of things that can be affected by carbon storage potential on your land, depending on your conditions specifically. And this can change from the farmer next to you and your neighboring farmer's field. So primarily what affects carbon storage is the amount of organic carbon that's already present in the soil. So if you think of soil as a sponge, if it's moderately wet, if it has a moderate amount of carbon, you're going to have a lot more opportunity to store carbon because there's less carbon in there already. So degraded lands have a huge carbon storage potential because they already have a small amount of carbon to begin with, and they have a lot of potential to increase their soil organic matter. And yeah, so legacy management practices, that's kind of in tandem with what I just said, that if soils have been cared for before and inputs have been added and the soil organic matter is really strong, you might not have as much carbon storage potential. Soil properties definitely affect the amount of carbon that stays in the soil. So if you have a shallow, sandy soil, you're going to have a really low carbon storage potential because there's not a lot of depth of topsoil that can hold the carbon. And if it does hold, it's not going to stay for very long because it's in a sandy texture. So clay tends to hold on to carbon a bit stronger. Quality and content of inputs. If you're putting a fertilizer, it's going to act as an active soil organic matter where it's being cycled through really quickly. whereas plant and organic material has a longer time in the soil to be more part of the stable soil organic matter. And so losses happen to carbon very, very frequently in modern intensified agriculture, especially with some of organic agriculture's practices. So harvest without a green manure or incorporation is considered a carbon loss because the plant matter that was absorbed during photosynthesis is no longer in the soil system and is being emitted. Disruption of soil surface cultivation and tillage. Soil aggregates get disrupted and aerated, and the organic matter decays faster and easier, and so that's considered a loss. And then erosion, which is obviously like a physical movement that displaces carbon-rich soil if it's carbon-rich. And some additions. So no-till, unfortunately, which is one of the hardest things to do in organic agriculture and what Hiroshi and I study. So it's going to slow microbial activity, which slows the release of carbon. And then it also reduces soil aggregate disturbance. So that aeration also stopped. Something that organic agriculture does really well is increasing carbon inputs from vegetation. So green manures and incorporation of stubble will give more carbon into your land. And then organic matter additions, which is that active soil organic matter. So manure, green waste, and compost are all good carbon storage additions. So not only is carbon sequestration a good thing as a part of carbon storage, but also soil health and soil function. So without carbon or soil organic matter, water retention, nutrient availability, and soil structure becomes a lot harder on your field and your land. So soil health is the continued capacity of a soil to function as a vital living ecosystem that sustains plants, animals, and humans. And I really like this definition, and I really like this picture. I think it's really a pretty illustration of how soil would look in an ideal world with 3 wheat stalks, perfect for harvesting, big yield there. But soil health essentially refers to soil properties that are changed as a result of soil use and management over our time scale. So soil health as it responds to what we do to it. And so here are some characteristics of a healthy soil and some common constraints. And these are the things that soil organic matter helps soil health with. So a sufficient depth, good water storage and drainage, sufficient nutrients, a large population of organisms, resistance to degradation, resilience in unfavorable conditions. I know we struggle with drought here. And so when those things happen, we have resistance and resilience with soil organic matter, which I think is maybe one of the biggest proponents for using carbon best management practices is as our climate changes, it might be good to consider resistance and resilience management practices. And then, of course, soil compaction and poor aggregation and low water and nutrient retention can all be helped or lessened. The impacts can be lessened with good soil organic matter. So I just wanted to say that carbon is dynamic. And so when we talk about carbon sequestration and carbon storage, which is a really hot topic for producers, I think, it's important to remember that we have to use carbon in the soil to support plants and crops and yields. And so we're not able to just store it and say that when we incorporate the green manure, it's going to be there for the next 10 years. I hope that you can take away from this that carbon is dynamic and it's going to be a really long process and constant management that will benefit your soil and your carbon sequestration ability for the longest amount of time. And yeah, uh, so these are some papers that I used to inform this presentation. If you're interested in doing some heavy reading, I can share them with you after as well. And yeah, that's what I had. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Alessia. That was really interesting. Are there any questions from the audience? People can just unmute themselves too and jump in with any questions they might have. I thought your point, I had actually never really thought about carbon storage and carbon sequestration as being two separate concepts, because so often we just say carbon storage and sequestration, and it's all kind of one term. So I appreciated you splitting those two concepts out like that. That was really interesting.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's important to use the right ones, but also use the buzzword when you need to get people's attention.
Are there any questions? We'll move on to our next speaker then. Thank you very much.
Well, hi, I'm Josie. I'm going to try to share my screen now. Oh, I will just end your screen share now, Lucia. So I hope you can see my
Yeah, we can see it.
yeah. So, yeah, hi, I'm Josie, and I'm a master student in U of A. And I recently graduated from my master program, and I'm really happy to have the presentation for everyone join today. It's also my first time talking a webinar, so thank you, Hiro, Shalicia, for your presentation, and also thank you, Kia, Tracy, for this opportunity. So today I'm going to talk about the meta-analysis paper we published with Hirosh and Guillermo, which talk about the carbon dynamics in organic versus conventional agriculture. So first of all, what is the soil organic carbon? Alicia already talked a lot about it, but I'm still going to reinforce it. So it's the organic matter stored in the soil, coming from decomposed plants, microorganisms, and other residuals. Soil organic carbon is a cornerstone of sustainable agriculture because it directly affects the soil health. The soil organic carbon improves soil structure, making it more stable and less possible to erosion. It increases the soil fertility, ensuring the crops have the nutrients they need, and it helps soil retain the water, which is really crucial for farming in the dry climates. And beyond those benefits, soil organic carbon supports microbial biodiversity and nutrient cycling. It creating a balanced ecosystem, and also importantly, it acts as a carbon sink, pulling carbon dioxide from atmosphere and help to mitigate climate change. But however, conventional farming system often deplete soil organic carbon due to the practices like heavy tillage and excessive use of the unsynthetic inputs. This leads to degraded soil use and declining productivity. So the agriculture offers a solution. Practices such as cover cropping, composting, and reduced tillage not only replenish the soil organic carbon, but also build a long-term soil health. So the focus of our research is to understand the carbon dynamics of two contrasting farming systems, organic and conventional agriculture. So the organic farming emphasize natural inputs like compost and cover crops. Practices such as reduced tillage and crop diversity create a favorable environment for the soil organic carbon accumulation. And these methods improve soil health while minimizing the environmental impact. On the other hand, conventional farming heavily relies on synthetic fertilizers and the pesticides. And additionally, its intensive tillage practices distribute soil structure and will accelerate the loss of the organic matter, and it will lead to the negative affecting the soil organic dynamics. So our study compares the soil organic carbon concentrations and the mass storage between those two systems. We also investigated how key factors such as like soil texture, soil pH, and temperature interact with these practices to influence the soil organic outcomes. So this comprehensive approach allows us to identify not only the benefits of organic practices, but also the conditions under which they are most effective. So here's the methodology in our paper to figure out how different farming methods affect soil organic carbon. We look at data from the studies done over 70 years from 1950 to 2023. We analyzed 64 field comparisons from many different regions. This wide range of data makes our findings reliable and could be really useful resources for everyone across various conditions. So we focused on two aspects of soil organic carbon. So one is like how much carbon is currently in the soil and how much carbon the soil can store over time. These two factors help us see both short-term benefits and long-term potential of farming practices. So to compare organic and conventional systems, we used a method called log response ratios, which is the LNRR. This helps us measure changes in soil organic carbon in a clear and consistent way. It also accounts for difference between studies, making our result more accurate. We also looked at factors like soil type, pH levels, and temperature. By including these factors, we didn't just find out if organic farming is better, we also learned why and under what conditions it works the best. Okay, next slide. So why we chose to use the LNR to compare the soil organic carbon in organic and conventional systems, we use the metric called the response ratio. This measures the relative changes in soil organic carbon between the two systems. And here you can see how it works in these two formulas. So the formula for the LNR is the natural logarithm of the soil organic carbon in organic system divided by soil organic carbon in conventional system. If the result is positive, it means the organic farming leads to higher soil organic levels, and if it's negative, conventional farming has the advantage. So it is a standardized measure, which means it accounts for the differences in experimental methods and the conditions across studies. This makes it easier to compare results, even when the data comes from the different regions of soil types. So, for example, our our studies, the average LNR for organic carbon concentration is 0.119, which means it has more like about 12% of soil. Oh, sorry. Of 12, sorry, the previous one. Which means the organic farming increases soil organic by about 12% compared to the conventional system. So we are able to qualify these differences in a clear and consistent way. So let's talk more about our result. It shows the organic farming leads to significantly higher soil organic carbon concentrations compared to conventional farming. So on average, the soil organic carbon is higher in organic systems. This is a meaningful improvement and highlights the benefits of organic practices for improving the soil health. Our results also show that the organic farming system store more carbon in the soil compared to the conventional method, which is on the right area. On average, the soil organic carbon mass storage is 10% higher in organic systems with a response ratio of 0.129. It proves that organic practices are effective at locking carbon into the soil for the long term. So we also find that the soil texture make a big difference. The fine texture soils like clay show the greatest increase in soil organic carbon under the organic farming with an LNR of 0.163. These soils are better at holding onto organic matter, which helps them to store more carbon. In contrast, coarse soils like the sandy ones has a smaller increase. It has an LNRR of 0.063 because they can retain the organic matter as well. So the takeaway for this result is that organic farming works for all soil types, but understanding the soil's texture can help us maximize the benefits. It's a really important step towards healthier soil and more sustainable future. So increase the carbon storage helps improve soil fertility and structure, which means better yields and healthier crops. Plus, it plays a key role in fighting climate change by the sequestering carbon from the atmosphere. Our study also find a clear relationship between the soil pH and the carbon storage. As the pH increases, the soil organic carbon mass storage tends to decrease. The regression equation we developed shows that for every 1 unit increase in pH, the response ratio for carbon storage decreased by 0.174. So this means managing soil pH is an important tool for improving the soil organic carbon. Use the organic amendments like compost can naturally lower the pH and create a favorable environment for the carbon storage. So come to the temperature, our result indicates a slightly positive relationship between temperature and the soil organic mass storage. The regression model we developed shows that for every 1 degree increase in the temperature, the response ratio for the soil organic mass storage increased by 0.00704. Sorry, there's a chat. Okay. This means that higher temperature can promote soil organic storage, likely by enhancing microbial activity, which helps break down the organic matter and stabilize the carbon in the soil. However, the relationship we found is pretty weak, with an R square value of only 0.0713, which means that while the temperature matters, it doesn't explain most of the changes in the soil organic carbon on its own. Other factors like soil texture and moisture maybe play a bigger role in the determining how temperature affects the soil organic carbon. Therefore, the fine texture soil might respond differently to temperature changes compared to sandy soils. So our results highlight some important findings about the soil organic carbon. First of all, the organic farming consistently improves the soil organic carbon concentration and mass storage compared to the conventional farming, which means the healthier soil and better carbon storage is benefits for both farmers and the environment. Secondly, the soil texture plays a big role. Fine texture soils like clay will store more carbon and respond best to organic practices. And the mid soils also perform well, while sandy soils show smaller improvements. We also find that the environmental factors matter. Low pH supports microbial activity, help stabilizing carbon in the soil. Temperature also has a slightly positive effect on the soil organic carbon storage, but it's not the main driver. Instead, factors like soil type and management practices are more important. So these are some clear takeaways we can talk about later in the discussion. And in conclusion, the organic farming has a clear and measurable benefits for soil organic carbon. It improves the soil health, enhances productivity, and contributes to the environmental sustainability. The key to success lies in tailoring the practices to the specific soil type and conditions. Whether it's composting, reducing tillage, or managing soil pH, even some small changes can make a big difference. So farmers and us play an important role in creating a sustainable future. By adopting the organic practices, we are not only just improving our land, we are also helping to contribute to climate change and secure the food production for our future generation. So here's some references. Most of them are coming from the paper we published, and some of the references are the pictures in the presentation. So thank you all for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, you can either write it down in the chat or just jump in and ask. And my email address is here if you want to ask any questions. Yeah, thank you.
Just give it a minute to see if anyone's writing a question in the chat. Thank you very much for that, Josie.
Thank you.
Okay, so if no one has any questions, I think that kind of ends the presentation part of the evening. Thank you all for joining us. I think we could end the recording now.